Morning, everybody. It's 8:10 a.m. April 23rd. Welcome to my channel. Now, yesterday was very interesting. QQQ made all-time highs with the relative strength in the technology sector, while S&P 500 equal weight lagged, and there was weakness in industrials, financials, consumer discretionary, and healthcare. So I haven't seen too much divergence like this before. This was an extreme divergence between the market cap weight, which is how the market moves, versus equal weight, which is if all the market was equal weighting, right? So you could see it in the Nasdaq futures versus the ES, very divergent. Okay, had a decent day trading yesterday. I got stopped on the news long early. I had a short that was had excursion, but then I got stopped, and then I had a short that worked out. That took a long time to work out, but it worked out, and I added to that position. Um, then I had a long later on that had excursion, almost a 1 hour excursion, and I went to break even. It got my break even, and then what happened is it went back, kind of made a double bottom in a 15-minute candle, and then it broke the highs because I wanted to be long with tech being so strong. So that's what happened yesterday. Okay, and then in the overnight we kind of dropped. All right, we dropped down, and we're in this balance in the S&P 500. Now remember, we made all-time highs, broke out of balance in the Nasdaq, and currently the market is bouncing up. Okay, crude was up previous. Now what I just saw was Japan, I think, had 70% of their oil pass through the Strait of Hormuz. That obviously is making the markets go up, I believe. Okay, crude is now down, not down big, down. Okay. Now, Tesla had earnings and it was initially up. Now it's down. ServiceNow, which I did open a position a couple weeks ago, and I almost got to break even, and I took it off because I just really didn't trust what it was doing with earnings, and now it's down over 12% based on they claim some Middle East tensions caused delays in some customers there and some margin. So their margin went down, and they purchased Artemis and some other things like that. So SaaSpocalypse, they're calling it. So that's kind of like interesting. I'm glad I got out of it. And I'm not saying I won't get back into it. So that's what's going on there. Today after the close, we have Intel reporting earnings, a semi. So needless to say, this market is kind of in a flux. And I showed yesterday the money flowing into tech. Okay, AMD is at all-time highs. AMD actually it breached its expected move of 302.49. It breached it. Now, depending of what happens now, I want to see if the stock dances around that level or that's it. Because if it dances around it, it's probably the top's in. It's not going to move much higher. Okay, that's the only stock that I see that I'm tracking that it's hit its expected move is AMD. If you look at semis, they've been out of control. Okay, people are flowing money into them. Another stock that I own, the GE Vernova, is out of control. And I say this every morning. I think I own it at 260 or 280, I believe. The thing is over $1,138 right now. Boy, oh boy, would I be should be heavy in this thing, and I keep thinking, and I trimmed it once, and I just think the data center build out in this energy from G, it's just Invertive also I'm in. right? I think I own Vertiv at like 60 bucks. It's over $300 a share. Same premise. I don't think I handled them the best. I probably should have been adding, but I can't complain. I'm not going to say the money that I'm up on them, but substantial for my portfolio. So, just a crazy time in the markets right now. It really is crazy. Okay, lots of headline risk. This market right now. All right, we're going to get all into this. There's a lot of levels that just came up that are very important. So let's get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, which you can get the gamma flip points, particular on my Discord. All right, gamma flip points haven't been that in much of a in play because of the market just keeps ripping up. Okay, maybe they've settled down. Okay, so now once that market opens, okay, I use my market internals to tell me where strength is. All right, that usually guides me on, okay, this is what's driving the market. I want to be long. I want to be short. Right. Also, I throw some ICT and smart money in there, some concepts. But basically, my trading system is basically my own proprietary system. It's not really hard coded in any kind of particular way. Okay. It's kind of my own. All right. Now, hopefully, you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. All right. Give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and then give you the long short trade scenarios in the ES and NASDAQ futures later on in the stream. Okay. ES is in quite a balanced area. Okay. NASDAQ has broken out of balance. So it's not fun to trade divergent markets like that. I'd like to have them in sync. Okay. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay. Now, let's get right into futures watch list here. The VIX is up 1.22%. It's at a 19 VIX. Okay. 10-year yield up 0.35. Dollar flat. Russell pretty much flat. Gold flat. 30-year bonds flat. NASDAQ is down 0.13. ES down 0.13. This is all like basically flat. Crude down 0.33. Dow down 0.35. Bitcoin down 1.5%. Silver down 1.70%. And Ethereum down 2.88%. Okay. Max 7s here. Netflix is up 1.24. Don't know why. Okay, what next is Netflix is up 1.24. Apple up 0.43. Amazon, this is very muted. Okay, we were down more at one point. AMD down 0.45. Broadcom down over 0.5%. Coinbase down 0.77. Meta's down almost a percent. Microsoft down 1.83%. Mainly with ServiceNow, right? Bringing down software a little bit, probably making people a little more nervous. IBM as well is down. Now we have Atlassian reporting, I believe, next week. Tesla reported earnings. Initially, they were up. They are down over 3%. Top sector stocks. Okay. GE Vernova, like I was telling you guys, that's a stock that I am in at a very low price. So, yeah, it's up 1%. All right. It's just a monster. McDonald's up 0.64, Caterpillar up 0.45, and then the laggards is your mining stock down 0.76, Palantir down 1.40%, Oracle down 2.20%. Ooh, Salesforce, remember the SaaS, it's part of the SaaS apocalypse here, down 5.19%. So software just keeps getting hit. Okay, maybe we go into the granular list today just to check in on it. Leaders, Oklo, that's nuclear. Oklo is nuclear. All right, Texas Instruments, semi, up 10%. Tilray, weed stock, a lot of cannabis news about the government. All right, let's see here. Let's go to laggards. Who's lagging today? There's ServiceNow, down 12.44%. Super microcomputers down 8.8%. over 8%. Atlassian, they didn't even report yet, but that's also software, down 8%. IBM down 7.5%. Okay, Lululemon, Workday. Let's see what else here. Honeywell, Lockheed Martin, Accenture, Snow, Adobe, Intuit. There's some software down there. Okay. Sectors. So semis continue to get money poured in, even pre-market right now, up 0.67. Utilities up 0.38. Energy up 0.34. So look at that. This is where the crude is flat now. So this, honestly, right here, where the market is right now, we'll get into it. It's at a very key level. This could be a nice short right here, pre-market. I'm telling you right now, I'd be itching to short it right now. All right, let's look at the laggards here. XLY, that's discretionary. That's your Tesla. Technology. Now that's the biggest market cap weighted sector. And look at this deviation here, right? Semis is leading, and semis is inside technology, and technology is down, is a laggard. You don't see that a lot. Okay, you do not see that a lot. Okay, moving on. We're going to go right into the economic calendar. We do have some data coming out today. We got PMIs coming out, okay, at 9:45. So, jobless claims came out as well here. Oh man, that market right now just came right to my level. Boy, oh boy, that's a nice short. Let's see here. Yeah, so 8:30 jobless claims and 9:45. You got a little data here. PMI, composite PMI, manufacturing, services. Okay, that usually moves markets a little bit. So I would probably be let the dust settle after these come out. And usually when this happens, I have a setup coming to me, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Around 9:45, it's just how trading works. Let's do a 1 star. Let's see if there's any bond. Nothing really. That's gonna move anything. Okay. Let's see what's on Trump's schedule here. I don't see anything here yet. That would be anything here. Let's look here. I don't see anything here either. Alrighty. Let's see here. This hasn't really been good. Usually it gives a good stock summary, and it hasn't really done that lately. Here we go. Here we go. They finally got it here. Okay, let's get into it. Tesla delivered a quarterly top and bottom line beat as its core automotive business fared better than feared in the quarter. But shares for the company reversed course and after market trade after the group outlined plans to shell out $25 billion this year to fund a pivot into robotics and autonomous driving. Tesla forecasts an annual capital expenditure of $20 billion. IBM shares fell following a slowdown in revenue growth due to its weakness in the software division. Comcast shares popped at the media and cable group shed fewer broadband customers. American Express ticked higher after the credit card company's wealthier clientele helped fuel better than expected results. American Airlines rose after the carrier notched higher than expected quarterly revenue. Thermo Fisher Scientific's first quarter profit and revenue also topped estimates of growth in laboratory products. Honeywell shares slipped as well after the industrial giant warned that the Iran-related disruptions would I think that means would hurt its business. Lockheed Martin shares dropped after the defense firm posted negative free cash flow. Interesting. Let's go to more news. All right, we already talked about Tesla, already talked about IBM, Lockheed Martin we just talked about. Let's see, Procter & Gamble's under pressure, gross margin and focus as the Iran war lifts costs. SpaceX IPO filing shows Elon Musk can retain board control. Now let's see here. Investors grew cautious about extending the recent equity rally as uncertainty persisted over the trajectory of the U.S.-Iran conflict, reflecting the cautious mood. Wall Street futures edged lower ahead of data-heavy and earnings-packed session. Well, they did edge higher, but lower, but now that's been all taken back. Let's see here, without getting into too much detail that I didn't talk about. Let's see the Netflix news. Netflix The streaming giant said its board authorized an additional 25 billion share repurchase. Okay, so buybacks. That's why the stock's up a little bit. Let's see here. ServiceNow, we already talked about that. Let's see. Texas Instruments company forecast second quarter revenue and profit above Wall Street expectations on Wednesday, anticipating a boost in demand for its analog chips amid the data center boom. Ready? Oh, here we go. This is unbelievable here. GE Vernova TD Cowen raises target price to 1220 from 780 on the back of its first quarter results that exceeded expectations. That is a monster. So IBM got a price target cut. Lam Research is a semi. JP Morgan raises target price to 215 for 300. Texas Instruments raises target price to 260 to 210. Alrighty. All right, let's do a little breath. Smell that breath. Let's go to that. We'll look at that breath charts real quickly. And we'll look at the 20-day moving average, what that did yesterday. That had a fall. All right, that had a fall. 65% of the S&P 500 is over the 20-day simple moving average. It got frothy a little bit, pulled back a little bit. Let's look at the 50. Only 55% of stocks over their 50-day moving average. That is very middling. That more gives the breadth of the market, right? Remember, 500 stocks, only 55% over their 50 moving. Very middling number. Now we move to the bullish percent index. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bullish percent index. It's the S&P 500. Let's see, 65% or 66% of stocks on buy signals. Okay, not very frothy as far as the S&P 500. Let's do NASDAQ. 67% on buy signals, getting to be in the frothy area. Okay, when it gets into the 70s, 80s, that's very frothy. Now we drill down into that technology sector. Look at that. Okay, this doesn't mean you short it. It just means that it is getting overbought. 80% on buy signals in the tech sector by itself. Okay. Now, I don't know if there's a semi. Is there a semi that we can look at? No. All right, stick to this. Let's go to financials. Remember I said, ooh, that was a nice buying opportunity down there. Oof. Now that's getting overbought at 80% on buy signals. Okay. Remember I said energy was interesting, was really oversold. All right, 27%. And we'll finish off with the staples. 44%. So that kind of pushed up, right? Look at that. That was only at 22. So they've been getting a little love lately. And we'll actually go to discretionary, because discretionary, that's your Amazon, your Tesla, your Home Depot. Getting into a little bit of a frothy here. 72% on buy signals still. Okay? That's our breath charts. Now we're going to move on to the market internals. Let's do that. And the divergence was insane yesterday. Okay. This white line represents basically the RSP, ticker RSP, as equal weight. Look at that thing. Just degrade the whole day. But market cap is actually how our market moves, based on sectors. And these sector boxes are based on the strength. Infotech is roughly 33% of the market cap. That is a monster. Financials is 13%. Discretionary is almost 10. Communications is 10. Okay? That is a ton of market cap weight. But if you have a 33% market cap that is up 1.28%, right? That's 33. It's just crazy that it's so heavily market cap weighted. You're just not really going to go down when the bars are like this. Okay? That's why this was like this. And then finally, whoop, look at that market cap weight. And look at the equal weight. Pick the TED up. Okay? So tech just getting money flows. And the market usually goes where tech goes. You're not going to see tech up in the market fall. It's not really going to happen. Okay? Let's move on to dailies. What a big divergence in these markets yesterday. Okay? Let's go right here. We're going to go into the daily charts. Okay? Now, Yesterday was interesting. So yesterday opened here, closed here, right? Now that pink line is Friday's close, last week's close. So we're back to positive. Day before we went negative on the week. This is last week's highs. So this is still bullish. Okay. This is still bullish. Now in the RSI here, you can see we're overbought. Now, I don't just trade on RSI. It's just a data point, but we are overbought. See, we're oversold here. And look at that. We stayed oversold and right? So it doesn't matter. It does. Okay, where are we now? 7, 10, 20. Right there. We're in the, yeah, 7, 10, 20. Let's get a little closer here. We are in the middle of yesterday's session. In the middle of yesterday's session, folks. Okay. Let's go to futures. This is balance, folks. Daily demand holding, right? This is balance, folks. Even extend this down a little bit. And what do? What a nice little hammer. Little hammer time candle here. Okay? Because we were down earlier. We swept these lows. Expected move would be back up to the top of balance today. Okay? Now remember, like I said, would be iron a short right now if was going to trade right now. Okay? Remember, I said we were in balance until we're not. S&P 500 is in balance. You'll see in the QQQ, we are not in balance. Okay? Qs. Now look, the NASDAQ broke out of a 3-day balance, right? It pulled back to last week's close and last week's highs, and then pushed higher, breaking out of the balance. Where are we now? 654.20, 654.20. Folks, we are next to the close of yesterday. Basically, around the highs. It's bullish. I mean, we can't really say it's not bullish. Okay? Now, let's look at futures. Look at that daily demand, just holding support. You pushed up. There, look, you went right back to last week's highs, and you are pushing up. Okay? Now, there will be a day. Okay? There will be a day where these semis get money flows out of them. Okay? So let's real quickly, let's look at XLK. I know I went to the bullish percent, but let's just look at XLK. Okay? Look, all-time highs. All-time highs. All right? Money's flowing into tech. Right? Look at IGV. This is software, part of tech. That got some love here, right? But look at that. Okay, this is a software ETF. Look at where that is. Okay, this is why there's pockets of tech that are not doing great, right? And then if you go back to XLK, which is the broad sector, you are at all-time highs. So that's the pocket that money flowed out of tech. Now, step further into semis, which would be your SMH. That is on a monster run. Okay, I think even stocks. That's another. Just showing the same thing, just on a monster run, right? So if money's flowing into semiconductors, right? Now let's look at the other ones like discretionary. Now, not at all-time highs. Not at all-time highs. Financials. Bottomed, not at all-time highs, right? Let's see staples. Remember I said staples got some hurt and it got some money flows? Let's see here. All right. So look, they were up here and now they're kind of chilling. Okay. And what else? XLC, communications. Forgot to look at that post percent index. That's not at all-time highs either. So technology is the beast. Money is flowing into technology. Okay, let's look at the RSP. You should see weakness from yesterday. Yeah, right. Hasn't reached all-time highs yet. And look at that candle. It was down, right? Opened here, closed here, and we know the S&P 500 had a positive day. The Nasdaq broke out, but the equal weight. Look at that. Not a great day. Okay. Let's get into the hourly charts now because I'm telling you, I'm liking that short. I don't want to break my process and just all of a sudden just jump in, but I do like it. I do like it. All right, let's look at the hourly charts now. You'll see what I'm talking about. Why I'm saying this. Okay, why I'm saying this. Hourly charts. All right, let's zoom in here. Why am I saying this? All right, let me get my marker. I hate when stuff sets up like this. And then right now I'm streaming, but that is a nice inverse hammer. All right, right where I thought it would have issues. So now here's the big level that has made its way into my charts. We are in ultimate balance. 71.60 is now the most traded price of the rolling month and the rolling week. That is a monster level. We came up into supply and we found rejection, right? And there is stacked supply above. Notice there's not much demand down here. Okay? To me, this is a good area to put a short on. Okay? Now, let's go to our volume profile and let's just see. Let's just go from here. Here we are, 71 right here in the middle. That's ultimate balance. Remember, that's the most traded price of the last month and the rolling week. Whenever you have that level, okay, that's very powerful. People are saying 71.61 is the fairest price to do business. Now, what we'll do is let's go into 4 hour. Well, there's not much business here for the month from the past. That just says a lot, though. Okay, because that's how much volume is transpiring up there. So we don't have to do that because now I remember that we really haven't been here before. Okay, that's an annoying error. So this is the volume profile. Value area is inside here, right? Look at that bar. Oh, it's killing me. It's killing me. Okay, so you're at value area high right there. Look at that wick. Now, I would expect to test this area down here around 71.25. Okay, we wicked down here. Buyers came back in. And there's a lot of stacked demand here. And the volume supports it. Okay, look at the volume that's not as much to the lower areas. Even drops off a cliff down here. So that's where this market could break this 71.26 would be the value area low of this composite profile. Okay, right there. You break that, there's not a great structure down to 70.90s. So maybe we get a premium here again to try a short. You finally have some poor structure here. Okay, this is not poor structure, but if you can take that out, whoop boy. Okay, that's what I'm looking at the ES. We're still in balance. Monster level now, ultimate balance, 71.60s. Big level. Now, if we break this level and hold it, yes, this market could rip higher. This market could also rip lower. Think of this as a spring, okay? That's just coiling and coiling and coiling and coiling, 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 and then it's going to explode one way or the other. And when you have ultimate balance, like the 71.61s, right? Shorts and longs all agree here. Big moves happen. Do I know when that big move is going to happen? No. Let's go to the Qs now. Qs broke out of balance, right? Broke out of balance, but also has made an ultimate balance level as well. Let's reveal that with the volume profile. Let's go to, let's start here. Okay, so in my real-time trading, regular time trading hours, it's around 26736 is ultimate balance. Now, this was also from this time only. Okay, it is 26828. 26828. Okay. So two high volume nodes here. Another one from yesterday. Right? Value area, it's actually above value area from this area. Now, if I shrink this down and we make it more to the beginning of this balance, let's say here, let's see how that level changes. Okay. Still the same. Okay. So, you are above ultimate balance. So see, you'll have all this volume, right? All this volume. You are above it, creating new volume. That is bullish. Man, look, it went into supply, right? This could easily come back down, right? You're over value. So, when your house is overvalued, you want to sell it, right? At a premium. Now, I'm not saying I'm bearish on the Qs or the Nasdaq. I'm not saying, oh, sell the Qs. This is more day trade, right? It's getting frothy. It is. You know, but I'm not gonna. You got to follow what the market gives you. Okay. So, like I said, it's over its ultimate balance. It broke out of balance, and it's now making what? A new balance. Okay. So that's your Qs, your Nasdaq. The only thing I would show you, let me see. Go back here for a sec. Let's do this, and we'll do this. That is your AMD. That indicator that I give for free in my Discord right here, the expected move, that's that green line to the upside, is been breached. Now, where is it now? 302. Right like here. So, as far as the market is concerned, the options market, this is the expected move to the upside. This is what the options market priced in for risk. Okay? So, AMD, I would say, doesn't statistically have much room to the upside. Now, if you blow through an expected move to the upside and it's up to 306 today, yes, it can go higher. If it hangs around, it usually closes back inside 70% of the time. All right. No other stock is by their expected move. Okay. No other stock. Actually, I apologize. GE is below its expected move to the downside. That is, I didn't notice that before. GE is below its expected move to the downside. Just like I said, probably doesn't have much more room to the downside. All right, let's get into the market profile, volume profile. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, very easily, you can see we're in balance. Composite profile on the right confirms balance. Not that I need it, but it's always there. All right, you can see the red dot right here. That's where the market is. We are in ultimate balance. We are inside yesterday. We are at the midpoint of yesterday's range. We did gap down and have since recovered. Okay, look at the little session of yesterday and look at that big overnight session. Woof. Okay. Now, this is our market profile, volume profile. This is where I make my game plans on, okay, because I love to see sessions broke out by overnight, by real-time trading hours. Okay. Oh, yeah. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. If anybody's watching, let me see. That's news. So let's just see. What time is it? 8:46. Let me see if I can pull something up here. Maybe something dropped. This is 7:45. That's not going to tell me anything. Let's see. This. Nope. That is not going to tell me anything. Okay. Give me a sec here. Let me pull up, because that is a nice little burst. And wouldn't you like to know what that is, right? Let's see. I don't know right now what that is. Anybody have a clue? Let me know. I don't see anything right now. What happened here? Let me go real quick to my Twitter. I don't see anything so far. So, whatever. Let's go back to the market profile, volume profile. All right. I don't know what that was. We're going to get right into the scenarios now for the ES. Let's break out the session. Remember, these are only 30-minute bars. It's all it is. Okay. Now, we talked about this earlier. We have ultimate balance. The 7160s are the most traded price of the rolling week, the rolling month, and of yesterday. That, my friends, is a wall. And why I like it, why I said that short, I like it is because that wall is a bombster, I was going to say, a monster. Most traded price of the week, yesterday, and of the month. That is a wall. And that what I like about it is it's kind of at the top of balance. So you had buyers come in here, right? Now this just puts them in danger, and you can go back to the balance lows. Okay? So ultimate balance is a very important level, the 7160s. That's why I was like, ooh, that's a short. Now look, I would have my stop here, and I believe this is probably a good bet to go lower. Now crude is back up. Something must have happened. Crude is almost up 1%. And again, like I said, if anybody's watching, you know the news, let me know. Okay? So, levels. We have balance lows starting around the 70, 90s about. All right, you got demand there. We have our balance highs, 71.85s. And we're in value. See the highlighted blue area. We're in value right now. Okay? So, there's a much heavy supply overhead than there is a big demand. That's why I was saying before, ooh, I would like to short that. Okay? Let's get into scenarios. Now, I'm going to start today off with a short. Okay? So, what would I like to see? I don't know if it's going to happen now. So, if it does, it will be a gift. If I get a premium, right, the market gives me that premium, and we kind of push back up into supply, into the 7160s of ultimate balance. Okay? Even if we try to tap overnight highs. There is a poor high from yesterday. That's a double top and equal high at the 71, 72, no, 71, 73s. Okay? So if you nip that, let's say, whoop, and you close back inside the range with a lower high, now I would like to see some weakness in tech. That would be a bonus. You have to get through that big level. If you do, right, this is a more aggressive short here because you're hoping you get through this, right? if you get through the 7160s. Okay, and you're conservative, you want to hold the short. The aggressive shorts will be short already, and if you retest it, right, that could also be a short. So I'm giving you a 2-for-1 in this scenario. Okay, so first short would be a sweep above yesterday's highs, that poor high, followed by a lower high short, right? Then you're going to target, right here. I would say the overnight lows, 71.05, then go into that demand zone down here, balance lows, and around the 70.90s. Conservative short would be wait for a breach of the ultimate balance, 7160s, get a retest into the 7160s. Market is showing weakness in tech, you short and target the overnight low, 71.05s, followed by the demand of the balance lows. Okay. Now, if you wanted to hold a runner to see if we break out of balance, be my guest. I don't think this market's ready for that, but I don't know. Okay. Longs. I am not excited. Oh, my Lord. I am not excited about longs right now. Not where we're at. Okay. So if I want to be long, right, here's value area. Even if we broke this, I'm still not crazy about it. Okay. So what would I like to see? Well, give me that nice move down. Now, I know there's a little support here around the 71.18s. I'd like to see the overnight lows taken out. Now, I would like this to be happen quickly. Okay, it might not happen quickly. However, if we get into this, let me just give you the level. There's demand down here. It's a major demand zone at 70.93s. Okay, if we were to go down there, whoop, wait, because it's the balance lows. It's going to make it look like we're going to break down lower. Any kind of pushback up with a higher low, and this market is not super weak, you're going to go long, folks. You're going to go long and try to tap the 7160s. Okay? We are in balance until we are not in balance. Okay? We are in balance until we are not in balance. That is your ES. Now, NASDAQ. This is a different beast. This is a different beast right now. Okay? Ooh. Now remember, ultimate balance is around 26750 right now. 26750. The market is above that. Okay? The market is above that. Now here's the big difference, and it's pretty big difference. I want to show you. Let's just look at the two markets. I want to show one thing that's very important here. Okay? Let me close this up. This is back to ES for a second. Look at this session. This is yesterday's regular time trading hours. This is the overnight. Okay? Notice the overnight session is almost engulfing the whole real-time trading hour session, right? If we go back to the NASDAQ, this is very interesting. The overnight session is inside yesterday's regular time trading hour session, regular trading hour session. That is really weird. Okay? That's really interesting. You have an inside of yesterday's range. You did not break yesterday's range in the NASDAQ. Sign of strength. Okay? Got to note it, though. I'm noting that in my head. You are at the midpoint of the overnights. You are at the midpoint of yesterday's range. Horrible trade location. Horrible. Now, I'm going to break out the session. And we did go into this supply. You don't see it now, but you did, where I was like, ooh, that's nice. That's a nice short. Right? So let's get into the scenarios here. Let's break out the session, and you'll see what I mean. Look at that nice move into supply, and that would have been a short. Like I said, Um, just a beautiful short right here. Now, we're trying to make a new range in the NASDAQ. We already had a balance area here. Now we're trying to make this a new balance area. And it is bullish. You really can't say it's not. Okay. Is it getting frothy? Sure is. Yep. So, this is middling. All right, middling. In the middle of the overnights and yesterday's session. This makes it a little more open for a long and a short. I am not like, oh, I don't like longs here. That's not the case in the NASDAQ. It's kind of up for grabs here. So, I'm still going to start with my shorts scenarios. Now, we do have a supply zone here. There's the close. We were 100% net short at one point. That is not an edge right now. Okay. So, what I want to see, I'd like to see this market drive up into this supply. Now, it's not, and nothing's ever perfect. This supply zone right above it's yesterday's close. Okay. If you come up here, whoop, and I don't want to see it really hit yesterday's highs. It might. I'd rather see it not. Get that lower high. Boom. You short the NASDAQ. Where would I target? I would probably target last week's highs. 26883. Because then from there, boy, do you got heavy demand. See, you don't have heavy demand in the ES. Boy, do you have heavy demand here. Where are those demand zones? They are at least 6 to 8 to 12 hour supply zones because they have the thicker border. That starts at 269. 26900 is a major demand, followed by another major demand at 26864s. Very thick demand. If this market stays in like homeostasis, meaning like NASDAQ stays strong, I can't see it piercing this. That's why I said my target would be at last week's highs. News would have to drive through this demand. Okay. Honestly, right now, well, I'll give you one more short. I'm not as crazy about it, but what I would see is, notice the overnight VPOC is also yesterday's VPOC, the most traded price, right? Now, what you could wait for is a breach of it, a retest of the 26977s, and then try to tap and go for maybe overnight lows, 26848s. This demand is scary to me, right? You need a news catalyst. You need a lot to cut through that. Okay? Longs. There is longs to be had still here. So what do I want to see? Now, this is a long that can happen probably off the open. Now, I talked about it yesterday. Notice how I said we're in the middle, right? Middle of yesterday, the middle of the overnights. What's going to happen here is called an inside out trade. You're going to test here or you're going to test here. It's not a matter of if it will, it will. Okay, now, it's very hard to trade this. Okay, now what could happen is the market could do whatever it wants, but let's say it does this and then retests the most traded price of the overnight and yesterday. That could be support, and you could target supply around the 27075s. Overnight highs. Yesterday's close is up here. That can be an inside out. Now, I'm not a fan of those because you're in the middle. They're very hard to hold because they can get very choppy, or it could just happen very quickly. Okay? That's not something I'm probably going to take. Now, on the other end, if you do get the move that I think we should get, and you come down into this big demand zone, last week's highs, essentially the breakout level of yesterday. Heavy demand here. Heavy. Maybe you tap overnight lows, 26848s. Maybe you even have to tap the week to day anchor VWAP here, 26809s. Any one of these levels, and you get a bounce, and you get that higher low, you go long, right? And I don't know, you might have to target the high day, whatever that would be, but just figure around this supply zone, maybe 271s. Okay? This is looking like it's setting up to create a new balance area. Okay? Heavy demand. Now this is the difference, right? Heavy demand in the Nasdaq, heavy supply in the ES. This makes this market very difficult to navigate. They're usually not this disconnected. Remember, I showed you as well. All right, we're done with the scenarios now. Okay. Remember, I showed you as well. Let's talk about it. Now, let me give you my market, overall market outlook. Okay. So, maybe I'll just flash it up here again. Let's just look at these markets. So, here's my overall outlook. Ultimate balance, 71.60s. Ultimate balance, the most traded price of the rolling month and the rolling week, has heavy supply attached to it. That would make me lean short in the ES. Okay? We're in balance still. Here's the contrast. The NASDAQ has ultimate balance, right? But that's more support. It's the ultimate balance is in demand zones. It's the exact opposite. It's bullish. Okay? Holding above ultimate balance. And ultimate balance is its support with demand in the NASDAQ. The opposite of the ES. Now, one more layer. This is very weird. Semiconductors are leading pre-market, and technology, which they're inside of, is the laggard. That is weird. Okay? Makes for a very weird market. So pick your spots today. Pick your spots. Be very patient and sniper-like with your trades. Okay? Now, the one key thing I would tell you, when I was live yesterday in my community, one of my good friends is an NQ trader. I told him yesterday, you should be long biased only in the NASDAQ. It's going to be an easier ride. I said that's why I was short the ES. It was the easier ride. Today, we'll have to see what leads the markets. Okay? But you want to trade something that, tech's up, you want a long NASDAQ. Equal weight so weak, your short will be better off in the ES. Okay? Now, that's it for me. Smash the like button. If you enjoyed that analysis, I think that was a A+ analysis, if you got to ask me. Okay? Now, hopefully, you subscribe, set that alert. I do this every morning. Give you the market story, the economic counter, the leaders and the laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long short trade scenarios in the ES and the Nasdaq futures. Okay. If you want more in-depth coverage, and I mean any more in-depth, you will join my Discord, Performance Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay. Now you have to be a surgeon, very surgical with your entry, with your TA, because this market's all over the place. It's schizophrenic. That's what I'm saying. Come into the community. I won't steer you wrong. I will just be like, no. Don't worry about that price action. Let's look at this. That's what you want. Okay? When I first started, I was very affected by price action. Like FOMO. Don't get me wrong. I still get some FOMO, but it doesn't really affect me. If internals and other structures showing me stuff, I always say, and my community members can back me up on this, market generated information. Okay? I'm big on MGI, market generated information of, stronger sellers would do this. Stronger buyers would do this. Right? Forget about price action. I'm not saying price action isn't important. I'm saying that little gyrations in a 1 minute or a 5 minute doesn't mean shit. Okay? Doesn't mean anything. All right. Everybody have a great day. Remember, no trade's a trade. All right. Follow your process. Remember, we're all risk managers here. Okay? We're all risk managers. And always ask yourself before you put on a trade, is this worth my capital, my risk? Have I seen this before? If you have not, That is not a trade. That is a gamble. Okay? I used to gamble because I thought the market should go down. Oh, green candle. I'm long. It's not how it works. You're not going to be able to sustain yourself. Okay? You'll learn that more and more. More and more. Markets don't give opportunities every second. Okay? All right, everybody. If I don't see you in my Discord, I will see you tomorrow morning.